Hello, everybody. Welcome to Expansion Pass here on Boss Rush Network. I'm your host and lots excited ADV. Joining me is the one, the only Bossman himself, Mr. Corey Dirrig. Hello, good sir.
Hello, Edward. How are you?
I'm doing good.
You sound tired. You all right? You sound tired.
No, I'm energetic.
Are you?
Yeah.
I think we have different meanings of the word energetic.
Yeah, I have energy. I'm good to go. We had a great Nintendo podcast recording. So I'm super excited for this episode of Expansion Pass because a couple episodes back, we got talking about magazines and you were reading some articles from it, and I just thought it would be cool to like look back at some of Game Informer, Electronic Boutique, EGM, Electronic Gaming Monthly, or Game Pro, or whatever magazine for the olden days where we all got our video game news from magazines outside of the internet, on sites like 1UP and Game Informer and now IGN and GameSpot and stuff like that. And some of those magazines had articles and they definitely had reviews about games, modern games, and even some retro games and stuff. So Corey, how should we start this?
I don't know. I mean, I guess we could just start. I probably have like 300 magazines in this bin right here. It is so heavy. I mean, I'm just going to pull out random magazines and read a couple things from each one. I don't know. We could probably just, I don't know. So we should do this in sections, right? Like, do we want to read like the Player's Pulse sections of like, or the equivalent from some of these magazines and then move into like previews and reviews? Like what was the hot stuff on those?
So yeah, let's do letters. Let's check out maybe an editorial, because I have an editorial question that I think you would be good answering. And then let's check out the reviews for it. So
okay.
So I have an EGM one, and maybe we do letter of the month.
Okay. Well, I mean, we can do whatever. I guess it's fine.
Okay. So, this one that I'm reading is Electronic Gaming Monthly. This is for let me see. I'll make sure that I get the month right. Because they kind of like changed. They kind of like changed how they did it. This one is from April 2006. So
2006. Dang.
Yes. So this is a letter of the month. It says, "More than a feeling." You know that Monster Ballad CD that is constantly being advertised on TV? Well, I thought it would be hilarious to rip those 32 tracks of Hairspray Mayhem onto my Xbox and do some guitar solo tomfoolery in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I did drive-bys to Sagan Kick, performed loop-de-loops to Slaughter's Fly to the Angels, and sent people to heaven while listening to Heaven by Warren. But as I was running down pedestrians, something happened. The song "When the Children Cry" by Bright Lion started playing, and I felt an emotion that I haven't felt in all my years of gaming: guilt. I wonder if the hooker I just ran over had kids. Teary-eyed, I flew CJ to the highest point of the Golden Gate Bridge. My guilt was transferred to CJ as he did a swan dive off the bridge. He actually landed on the hood of a car, and the driver got out to beat up his bladder course. I turned the game off and haven't played it since.
Jeez. That's
And so he got a game for this. He got Chibi Robo for the GameCube.
I mean, that's a good one. Who doesn't like Chibi Robo? Just throw that out there.
All right.
Do you like Chibi Robo?
You know, but I have never got to play it.
What?
On GameCube. I played Chibi Robo on DS, excuses. I think, or 3DS.
Excuses.
So, yeah.
I have the. Let's see here. We have volume 169 of Nintendo Power, which was. Let's see here. What month was this? What month is it? Oh, big fold out thing here. Well, they're advertising GameCube, so it's close there. Sonic Adventure DX is on GameCube. All right, so this is June 2003, Ed.
Ooh.
Let's see here. Let's go to where are we going?
Letter of the month.
Letter of the month. This is from Wendia Angel via the internet. So this is my ultimate Pokemon. Hold on. What was the question for the letter? Aren't they supposed to put the? Oh, the question was in the previous. Let's see. Yeah, the question for this is in the previous month's magazine, or 2 months ago, I think, actually. So this is about what would your ultimate Pokemon be? My ultimate Pokemon would be Mew, or in other words, Baby Mew, the pre-evolution of my favorite Pokemon, Mew. Really? That's your favorite Pokemon? Come on, guy. I mean, come on. Mew is so cute and powerful. Imagine a baby version. A baby legendary at that. Here is what Mew would be like. Name. Mew. Evolution. Mew. Pre-evolution. None. Species. New species. Appearance. Looks pretty much like Mew, except smaller. Mew has a longer tail, smaller ears, and is pastel blue in color. The shiny version of Mew is white. Description. Mew can learn all TMs, but only a few HMs. It learns Confusion, Light Screen, Metronome, and Pound. All of its stats are high, but special attack and speed are at the highest. In order to evolve into a Mew must be at least level 25, have 200 happiness, 20 cute, 10 cool, 20 smart, and 10 beauty. I have no idea what those stats are. Those were not in red and blue or silver and gold, and that's where I stopped playing. Mew is newly discovered pre-evolution of the legendary Pokemon Mew. Legend has it that Mew was lost in time and sent back to its ancient state. Mew is very sensitive to children's emotions and will only appear to a trainer with a pure heart. What a great idea for a Pokemon, says Nintendo Power. You've obviously spent a lot of time creating your every detail for Mew. Some of the best Pokemon come from your imagination. Check out your fellow readers' ultimate Pokemon on pages 11 and 12. Jeez. Okay. All right, Ed. What do you got? You got another magazine, or you want to read more letters?
Let's read more letters. Okay. Oops. So I have one. This is from Game Informer. Steal this idea. It says, in issue 289, we asked readers what characteristics Sony and Microsoft should copy from Nintendo. Respondents wrote in with several suggestions, some more helpful than others. So, here go the responses.
Oh boy.
From Gay Scarer, I believe they should put more emphasis on couch co-op. In recent Coach Co-op. In recent years, local multiplayer is becoming more and more of a rarity. While headsets do allow for communication, it's not the same as being next to each other. Although PlayStation and Xbox are ahead of Nintendo in many ways, designated offline modes are where Nintendo has the edge. The next one is from Emily Lewis. Nintendo has always been accessible to non-gamers, as seen with games where almost anyone can play, like Wii Sports. Microsoft tried to piggyback on the company's success with the Kinect and Sony with the Move controller, but Nintendo remains the champion of pick-up-and-play games. I believe that Sony and Microsoft should focus more energy on first-party casual games to entice a new market of players. And the last one from Grant Garcia. As a longtime Nintendo fan, the answer is simple. Sony and Microsoft should learn the savvy business move of withholding stock of their products. My 5-month ordeal of calling storage daily for the NES Classic, only to find out it is now discontinued, has bolstered my levels of faith and loyalty to Nintendo to a level where I would die for them.
Okay. Well then. All right, Ed, I have an interesting one here for you.
Okay.
Let's see here. We have how many e-reader cards would it take to equal the data on one GameCube disc? We think you have way too much time on your hands. But here's the answer. An e-reader card can hold up to 24 kilobytes of data. Jeez, that's so small. A GameCube disc can hold up to 1.5 gigabytes of data. It would take roughly 62,500 e-reader cards to equal that data on one GameCube disc. Now that's a lot of swiping. Oh my gosh. Man. Good times, huh?
Yes.
Dang. E-reader, man. We got new Mario 3 levels out of it, though, so not complaining all that much.
Okay. So this one is Game Informer, and this one has this is the Destiny the Taken King issue. And I'm gonna look at I am gonna talk about I'm gonna read a story from it, not a story, a letter from it. But
great.
This is the issue that highlights Satoru Iwata's death.
Ooh.
And it's in their Connect thing, and it says Satoru Iwata, 1959 to 2015. On my business card, I am a corporate president. In my mind, I'm a game developer, but in my heart, I'm a gamer. And they did a one-page. They did a one-page, contribution to him, like a respectful thing. Mm-hmm. He says, I'm just going to read the end part. And of course, he will be remembered for his absolute love of games. The fact that he has the head of a major company with a programming background makes him a rarity, infusing Nintendo with an important guiding spirit. At the time of this writing, a successor has not been chosen, but whomever it is, it would be hard to fill Iwata's shoes. Even if we have different tastes in games, he said at GDC in 2005, every one of us here today is identical in the most important way. Each one of us has the heart of a gamer. But this one, it says, welcome back, Master Chief. Thank you for your cover story on Halo 5 Guardians. I'm a loyal Halo fan and own every game in the series. In fact, I own multiple copies that I still use for LAN parties. I have been skeptical about pre-ordering Halo 5 since Halo 4 was a letdown. The multiplayer classes and added Call of Duty elements made the multiplayer feel like it was meant to be all run the gun with no strategy or level of familiarization needed. I was super excited to hear that Halo 5 DLC maps will be free and that the MP classes are gone, and I am overall excited again thanks to your article. However, my heart sunk when I heard there is no split screen co-op. The next time you see the folks at 343, please encourage them to bring it back. It's a staple of the Halo franchise, especially for those that really enjoyed the campaign.
Yeah, I remember that was announced. That was another one of those things, right, where like they said, you know, they were never going to get rid of split screen co-op, and then they delayed Halo 5, and then they said we're getting rid of the split screen co-op.
Oh, wow.
I remember that. Oh, I remember that so much. That was a big deal.
I didn't know how big of a deal it was.
Yeah, that was a huge deal. That was a huge deal, man. Can't believe that.
Okay. All right, Corey, go ahead with one more story, one more letter.
Yeah, let's see here. What magazine do I want to go with? We're gonna go with this Game Informer. This is the Batman Arkham City Halo Reach issue. Doesn't say what month it's from. Let's see here. September 2010, Ed. September of 2010. Let's read. This must be, let's see. Question of the month. What is the best Zelda game ever? There are no answers to that. That's just the question of the month. All right. Let's see here. Unbiased and honest. What are you guys so why are you guys so biased and dishonest? Give some credit to Nintendo for once. I'm a huge Nintendo fan, and you don't give their games fair reviews. You put them down because you assume Nintendo is for nerds. On the other hand, you guys worship the Xbox 360 and the PS3 because that's where the cool people play. That's a totally unfair bias. Another unfair trait is your attention to the titles of the games. If it sounds violent or evil, you assume it would be good. Thus, not surprisingly, every Call of Duty game has gotten a perfect 10, except for the Wii version. How predictable. My final complaint is that your obsession with so-called hot female characters. You choose to like the game on a concept involving hot girls. This is 2010. I can't believe this letter's in a 2010 magazine. Jeez. Let's see. This is not enough reason to like a game. You should be ashamed, and also should be well known for your obsession with being cool, at least your definition and standards. I subscribe to Nintendo Power, and I got to admit, they're much more fair and honest to their games. First of all, Nintendo Power is owned by Nintendo until like 2012, so
right.
It's basically one big advertisement. And being cool does not monopolize their lives. That's why all gamers should choose them over you any day. The answer. This is either a fanatical rant or a pitch-perfect parody of a fanatical rant. Honestly, we can barely tell the difference anymore. You are right about one thing, though. Being cool does monopolize our lives. To stay on top of all the hip trends, we have spend our free time reading Twilight books, watching Real Housewives, and call people bro. It's tough being so awesome.
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
Uh, so okay, one Corey, I
Nope.
have to read this one to you. This is from Edge magazine.
Oh boy.
This is March 2017. It's titled Black Box.
Oh God.
Where, well, there it is. Before the conference, I was all in. I wanted Nintendo's full force behind it, indies to flock to it, just as they'd done with PS4. I wasn't expecting the force of major third-party developers, but at this point, it looks like the Wii U would have had more support, and that's saying something. I wanted the Switch to be my main gaming system. I was content with leaving my PS4 just for exclusives. Now I'm thinking of upgrading to a PS4 Pro with the cash I saved up and maybe picking up a 2DS style bare bones version of Switch that actually comes with a good controller down the line someday on the cheap. I honestly am still reeling from the disappointment I felt after watching that conference. I can't believe just how deflated I am about Switch. There is just a profound sadness hanging in the air. At least Wii U games should be getting cheaper soon. From Ben McManus. The response.
Jeez.
If it helps, you're just one of the many to write in to share Switch-related woes. We suspect, though, that the most disappointed among us are only so down because we're all going to buy it at launch anyway. Whatever the cost, there's your Nintendo difference.
Jeez.
And then, now that was 2017 when the system had just came out.
Yeah.
With the magazine probably releasing in February.
Mm-hmm.
Now look how I'm just like if you look at the status of the Switch and the library games.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. The problem even now, right? I mean, people were complaining that Switch 2 only came out with Mario Kart and Donkey Kong was like 6 weeks later or whatever.
Yes.
You can't have everything at once, right? Like, or you're going to get overwhelmed and or bored and then wonder where all the games are a year from now, right? And so I don't know, man. Whatever. People are too impatient. But yeah, that's funny. That's really funny.
And I think it was a conference that they held in Japan that they're responding.
Oh, that January one or whatever that we stayed up and watched. Yeah. Oh, it's cold.
All right.
So, Ed, I have to read something from this one.
Go ahead.
So this is the where's the date? So this is volume 99 of Nintendo Power, which would have been August of 97. Yep, 97. Has Pierce Brosnan on the cover from GoldenEye. The big games on this were the strategy special for Star Fox 64, GoldenEye 007, Mischief Maker's Preview, and on Game Boy, King Griffey Jr. presents MLB Baseball and Tetris Plus. So here are some letters here. A lot of these are issue 100 ideas. Let's see here. Where is it? I just had it open. All right. So, phone friends. In Nintendo Power, you have made a big deal out of internet and game counselor services you provide. However, I don't believe any credit has been given to the main Nintendo phone service. You can call it nearly any time during the day for helpful information and hooking up a system, troubleshooting, subscriptions, and other things, and it's toll-free. When I got Super Mario 64, its loud noises sounded very buzzy. I called up, and after a little wait, a real helpful guy helped me out. He gave me advice and stayed on the line until I was sure the system and the game were perfect. I believe Nintendo has great quality assurance and operators make sure of it. And that's Nintendo at its best. Here's another one real quick. To err is human. Nobody's perfect. Wait, hold on. Wait, what is that? Why is this? Oh, that's a correction. That's not what I wanted. To celebrate the launch of Star Fox 64, Team Nintendo rolled out in a van equipped with loads of N64s and new games to preview. The van is set out to cross-country road trip to introduce the U.S. to the Rumble Pack, Fox McCloud's latest mission, and more. The van rumbled from Seattle to Salt Lake City, Denver, Kansas City, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Chicago, Columbus, Philadelphia, and Charlotte before finally reaching its destination at E3 Atlanta. Jeez, E3 in Atlanta. That was a year. Along the way, new media and lucky gamers from area boys and girls clubs got the opportunity to try out the game before it hit the shelves. Dark Rift, Aero Fighters Assault, Hexen, Extreme G, and San Francisco Rush were all on hand for test drives. After hitting the road, Team Nintendo concluded, it's a good video game when you forget to blink your eyes. That was cool.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay. So, Corey, let's get into some editorial stories. I have one from you. This is EGM, their press start. They have the big questions, and we tackle the major questions for each next gen console. So at this time, everybody, this is PS3, the Wii, but at this time, the code name Revolution, and the Xbox 360. So, Corey, I want to ask you, graphically, will PS3 games live up to the hype?
Did they live up to the hype? I mean, I guess it depends on what game you're playing. I mean, obviously the Killzone 2 is the famous trailer we saw, right? Or the infamous trailer we saw. And the game didn't quite look like that. And then at the end of the generation was Watch Dogs. That was an infamous one too. But I mean, I think PlayStation first party games looked great. I think the big knock that generation for PS3 was that Xbox 360 games ran better because they used a more basic architecture, whereas the PlayStation 3 used the stealth processor, right? So that would be my thing, I guess. Because like Uncharted looked awesome. I think Ratchet and Clank looked awesome. Trying to think what else came out for play. Infamous was really good. Because they all utilize the cell processor differently though, right? And PlayStation first party had that was the only console they were working on, so they didn't really have to worry about optimizing it for several different machines, whereas third party games were like, that's why a lot of games came out later, Mass Effect 2, BioShock, there were quite a bit of games that came out later because the game just was not optimized for that style of infrastructure. So, I think PlayStation 3 at the end of the day still looked pretty good. It was more of a performance thing, but it was fine. I don't know. I think there are games that look amazing and things that look bad. I think it's a game by game basis, because you look at a game like Halo 3 and Master Chief looks awesome, but then you look at the human faces and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm playing a PS1 game. So yeah, that's my answer, I guess.
All right.
What about you, Ed?
Well, between the PS3 and the Xbox 360, I thought some of the games just looked similar. I do agree with you that the PlayStation games look great. What Kojima did with Metal Gear Solid 4 looked amazing. Um, some of the indie games on there were like kind of was like really beautiful for it. Uh like I think PS3, because I have my thing against 360. I think a lot of the PS3 games, like once they got into their sequels and stuff and they knew how to develop for the system, the games looked phenomenal. It looked like better in it. But between like 360 and PS3, graphically, they lived up to the hype. Well, not so much to the hype, because a lot of the stuff that they were showing on PS3 was kind of cutscene stuff than what was actually, what you was actually going to play. Like Heavenly Sword looks amazing still to this day. Controls is a kind of mess here and there, but like for that to be Ninja Theory's, like first kind of recognition of a name, before they actually became bigger than what they are. They did a phenomenal job with Heavenly Sword, and that game looks fantastic for it. Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3 looks phenomenal. Infamous, definitely Infamous 2 looks way better. Looks so good compared to the first one. So I think as the system, got better, and I'll give it up to Naughty Dog, definitely, with The Last of Us and stuff. Like their games were really looking great as the system progressed. People learn the hardware and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess when you're playing, games like Gears, right, which looked phenomenal at the time, and you got like a year later you got Mass Effect, and then you had these open worlds like like Oblivion at the time, which still like that the sheer size of that world really blew a lot of people away. And then you get to the PS3, right, and the games that were coming out to that at the time, right? I mean, because like I still think the first major, like, I mean, even Uncharted 1 wasn't big at the time, right? So like
Right.
you really have to look at something like God of War 3, right? Like that game looked amazing. That game still looks phenomenal to this day. I mean, that remaster is on PS4 and it looks awesome. Killzone 2 was okay, but it was also at a time where everything was like, that was the big knock on Gears 2 for Gears 1 and 2, right? It was like everything's brown and different shades of brown and gray, and and like the blood was like the only color that you would get in those games for a while. So that was also the thing with Killzone, right? Was like everything's kind of dark and brown and various shades of gray, and it wasn't until like you saw the Hellgas masks that were like these bright orange colors, right? That were like very colorful, and then we got something like Infamous, which the city was really also very shades of brown, but then you had like the electricity, which was blue, right? In the fire, and all these other different elements you see in play in that game. I know like you didn't get different. I don't think you got different elements in that game. I'm pretty sure it was just the one, right? Because that was the big thing about Second Son, was you started getting different powers. And then obviously Infamous 2, it was this kind of New Orleans vibe kind of thing going on. And so like you started to see these things change throughout the life cycles of these consoles, and then you started getting unique art styles, like the Art Deco stuff of BioShock. whatever you want to say about that game. I know a lot of people love it, but the art style was so distinct at the time. Or Mass Effect with this like almost retro future vibe going on. Obviously Halo and then we started getting gritty Call of Duty games every year, right? That was the big thing. And so I think the big thing, in all honesty, was like you started looking at the PS after like the PSN outage and stuff, and they started actually having like a real store. And you look at Xbox Live Arcade and remember those PlayStation Minis, those games that came out that were like, these small kind of whatever.
Yeah.
That's when like the quote unquote indie scene really started coming together, was during that era. And I think that's where you saw a lot of color palette changes, essentially. And then, yeah, I don't know, man. I didn't play a lot of PS3, so I can't really. I'm thinking of I'm trying to think of like multi-platform games that would have also been on PS3. And then I mean, I really only bought a PS3 for Uncharted.
Well, I the way for me to play the Mass Effect games, I had to buy the trilogy for it. Because I mean, 2 and 3 came separate, but I never played 1, so I bought the trilogy to play the Mass Effect games for it. Like I didn't really do a lot of course, like a lot of EA stuff I didn't do because I didn't have a 360. Some of the third party games I would get on PS3, like Tomb Raider. Like I got on PS3. DMC Devil May Cry I got on, was that PS? Yeah, that was PS3 that I got it. And so like Enslaved I got like on PS3. Like, so a lot of that stuff on PS3 that was on Xbox, I just to be in the conversation, I played on PS3. Like even like BioShock, that was one of the biggest games on Xbox 360, and then later on it came on to PS3. Sleeping Dogs, Grand Theft Auto 5, like a lot of stuff that when they did come multi-platform, I would get the PS3 version because I didn't pick up the 360, and I didn't play any of the. Buying and playing 360 games on my own didn't really happen until my Xbox One. So,
yeah, I just I hated the DualShock. I loved, because like, I mean, I was during the 360 area, like I was playing a lot of Halo and Gears, and those were like the games I was playing, and I mean, I played Call of Duty because my friends played Call of Duty for a little bit, but I was like, dude, I was really into Gears. You know how I was into Destiny for like, I mean, I'm still into Destiny, but like that was the only game I played for like 2 years. Essentially, like that's how I was with Gears, right? That was the second game I got every achievement in, including the seriously achievement, which is, kill 10,000 people online, which was hard to do because they didn't have team deathmatch in Gears 1. They had one and done. So, if you died, you weren't playing anymore until the next round. So, that was a really hard achievement to get. So that was man, Gears 1, man. Gears 2 also, man. Gears 2 is like, where's that remaster? It's coming. I think they're going to sell each one of those games at $40 a piece so they can get the most out of them, to be honest. Especially from the PlayStation crowd. But yeah, I'm trying to think of like PS3 exclusives. Puppeteer was cool, right? Little Big Planet did a lot of interesting things with like fabrics and stuff like that, right? Man, let me look up PS3 exclusives because I don't even remember.
Well,
I mean, The
why
Last of Us was obviously the big one, right?
yeah. Well, why are you looking up that? I'm gonna ask you a second question. Um, the Revolution will be cheaper than its competition, but how much? And what about the cost of downloading those classic Nintendo titles?
I mean, what's the question? It was cheaper, and those titles were $5 to $10 depending on which console they were on. uh,
Um, the next Zelda will be ready for GameCube or Revolution. It was ready for both.
yeah, I hope you pre-ordered your GameCube version. You'll be paying a pretty penny.
So, well, let me. Speaking of 360, while you look that up, is Gears of War the system's Halo for 2006?
Yes, it was. Gears was awesome, dude. Gears was the game everybody was like. That was the exact game people needed before Halo came out, because Halo 3 got delayed. It was supposed to come out in 2006, and then it got delayed. I don't know if people remember that, but because we all thought it was coming out at launch. We thought it was going to be the launch game, but they delayed it because they're like, oh, well, people are still like really into Halo 2. We can probably stretch this out another year. And then they delayed it. Right. And I think it came out in September of 2007 at that point.
Because that was the one question. It was like, so does that mean we have to wait until 2007 for the third coming of Halo?
Yeah, and they launched the 360 Elite with it, which was the bigger hard, like it was the black version of the console with a bigger hard drive. Which at the time I don't remember why they released a bigger hard drive, because it was already 20 gigs and like you weren't installing games onto the hard drive yet. Like that wasn't a thing. You still played the game off of the disc, right? And so maybe they were I think they raised the size limit of the Xbox Live Arcades from like 256 megabytes to 2 gigs or something along those lines, I think. So yeah, I think that's what that was. All right, PS3 exclusives. Man, when I think of PS3 exclusives, like I feel like they were pushing things like Journey. This is when they got really experimental, right? Like Journey and Puppeteer. Puppeteer was really good. I really liked Puppeteer. Did you play that?
Puppeteer, yeah, I did.
I remember at the time the big thing was like they kept delaying Gran Turismo to the point where they put out that weird kind of demo, that Gran Turismo Sport demo, which people just absolutely hated because it wasn't the full game. But I remember MotorStorm, the racing game.
Yes,
that game was awesome. That game was so good. I really loved that game. And then like you got stuff like, oh boy, like I think the first Quantic Dream game came out, which was Heavy Rain was the first one.
Yeah.
People loved that because it was different for the time. Now these games are everywhere, but that was like let's see, Ni no Kuni was exclusive at the time, right? That was a cool RPG. Let's see. Oh yeah, Demon Souls. This was the start of the Souls like Demon Souls, right? Like that was I remember the big thing was like IGN didn't review it and Sony didn't want it, so Atlas published it over here, and it was like one of the best selling games of the year. People absolutely loved it. It sold like 2 million units or something.
And then it started getting popular, which created, which led into Dark Souls and creating the Souls genre.
Yeah, I mean, Dark Souls was like, okay, well, Sony doesn't want us, so we're gonna go with Bandai Namco and make, take the Souls name and make Dark Souls out of it, and like made it multi-platform, and it was huge, right? I mean, Dark
Mhm.
Souls Dark Souls 1 was huge, dude. Like I remember that. I even bought it and I was like, why do people like this?
I thought that two or three were bigger than one.
I mean, they were, but it was a big deal because Demon Souls was like a cult hit, right? And
Hmm.
then Dark Souls came out, which was it was billed as the sequel to Demon Souls. Like that's how they were pitching it, was like the sequel to Demon Souls.
Yeah.
Um which obviously now we know it's not, but like dude, when that game came out, people were like I saw Dark Souls everywhere and I was like, I don't understand what is going on. I don't understand why people really like this. Um and then also at the time with PS3, I remember getting Destiny for PlayStation 3 before I got a PS4. Um
Same.
wait, did I?
Because
Maybe I didn't.
I beat Destiny on PS3.
I don't
And then
know. I had a PS4 before Destiny came out.
I didn't
Right,
have
because
it.
I canceled. We were all planning on getting Xbox Ones. I I
Mm,
remember this. We were going to get Xbox Ones for Titanfall. I remember. And then we were all going to play Destiny on Xbox One. And I remember Activision made the deal with PlayStation for 1 year exclusivity for a lot of things, including Hawkmoon, which ended up being like one of the best weapons in the game that Xbox players couldn't have.
because that was when uh
Dude,
because Activision was doing the deals with Microsoft for 360, and then when Xbox One and all the complaints and stuff came, they switched it to Sony because of
mm-hmm,
PS4.
mm-hmm,
When Destiny dropped.
yeah. I remember that, and I remember walking into the GameStop that I had Xbox One pre-ordered at, and
Mm-hmm.
it was literally like a week before. Um, because which one came? Xbox came out first, right?
Xbox One.
Like the week before PlayStation, right? That was the
No, PlayStation 4 came out and then Xbox One came out later. Because I was selling both of them at Toys R Us when they
right.
both
Okay, so
released.
all right, I'm remembering this now. All right, so like the day the PlayStation 4 came out, I went and canceled my Xbox One pre-order and stupidly asked if they had any PlayStation 4s that weren't in on pre-order. And they said they didn't, but I was friends with the manager that worked there at the time, and he actually ended up selling me one.
A PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Instead. Um and at the time I didn't care, but I like over time I'm like, man, he sold me someone's PlayStation 4 pre-order and that person's going to be really mad. Um
Which is funny because people were returning their Xbox Ones to get a PlayStation 4 for their kids and stuff.
mhm. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and I think obviously like the whole Xbox One launch fiasco or like the announcement fiasco, right, was really hurt them. Um but like PlayStation was making a lot of good and well, maybe good, bad, I don't know, interesting decisions that hurt Xbox even more. Like remember the Shuhei Adam Boys video of them trading
with
used
the trading
games?
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still on PlayStation's YouTube channel, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
That video is like it's like literally like 20 seconds long. This is how you play used games on your PlayStation. Oh my gosh. If you guys haven't seen that video, it's so good. I love
Yeah.
Shuhei. Shuhei Yoshida he's a good
That's
one.
why I wish me and Nelly seen him at PAX West last year. Right, we was playing the game and he was
Yeah.
walking with the security and he was just like, man, we had the chance to stop him and say hi, we would have.
Yeah. Man. Um he's like a consultant now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just the PlayStation 4, man. I have to say the PlayStation 4 is, I think, quietly one of the best consoles ever made in terms of games, their lineup, their like just the quality of the console. Don't get me wrong, I really like the Xbox One X too, right? But it took Xbox a long time to get there. But the PlayStation 4 from the beginning was like, aside from like the Kit Kat bar design, like I don't know. I still really like, I don't like PlayStation's controllers at all, except for the DualShock 4. I really like the DualShock 4 a lot. It was just wide enough, you know, it was bottom weighted instead of top weighted like the Xbox controllers are. Like I still play, like as much as I love the Xbox Series controller, I still play with one of those chat pads on the bottom of it. Not because I use the chat pad, because it weighs the controller in a way that feels comfortable, right? And so I don't know why that is for the DualShock 4. I think because like the rumble stuff, like the rumble stuff was in the handles of the controller, which weighted it down. But yeah, I really loved the DualShock 4. I had the orange one, that sunshot orange one.
Oh yeah,
I loved that one, and I had that that gray blue Uncharted one. Were the two controllers I had for that.
I mean, when I got my PlayStation 4, of course, I got a lot of games and stuff for it. But I think when going from 360 to Xbox One, definitely with the controller, I didn't know how comfortable the Xbox One controller was. And so, and then it had my must-haves, which was Ori the Blind Forest, and Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider. And, you know, I kind of like the design of the original Xbox One and some, some of the like special editions and everything like that. And I think when it came to PlayStation 4, I was just like, okay, I am playing more of my Xbox One, but I think, of course, I'll get games exclusively from Sony for PlayStation 4. And if, some stuff on sale and everything, and, like, but once, like, Ghost of, the Ghost game came, Ghost of Tsushima came, I was just like, oh yeah, I definitely got to have it. Then, Horizon, I didn't like the trailer for it, and then I started playing the game and just seeing, going for the story. I'm like, oh, Guerrilla Games, oh yeah, and then I fell in love with Horizon, while still falling in love with Breath of the Wild and stuff. And then
Horizon was awesome. I think Horizon is currently PlayStation's best IP, in my opinion.
I could agree with that. Yeah.
I mean, I really like Uncharted, but we haven't gotten one in a while, and like they still control, as much as I really like the characters, they still control really bad. Something about Naughty Dog games just don't control well for me for some reason. I think it's because, like, after playing so much Gears and how good that third person shooting feels, right?
Yeah.
And then, like, even some of the later Resident Evil games that were third person shooters, essentially, like, even those felt better. And then you go into like the Naughty Dog game and it just feels so like floaty, essentially.
Yes. I know for me, like, as much as I love Ghost of Tsushima on PlayStation 4, I still think the best game on there, personally for me, was The Lost Guardian, because of that story, the environment, the gameplay was what it was, but there was a emotional beat to it. And and because, like, I think I did Lost Guardian, and then later on when Rhyme came out, I was just like, okay, yeah, and I did pick up Hellblade and stuff because of Ninja Theory and what they was going for and stuff. But I was just like, man, the Lost Guardian was just like, man, there's just, I know people are complaining about the controls and stuff, but there's something about what's in this game so meaningful. And then I like when it came to like Xbox One, like what is the game that like spoke to me that represents Xbox One? It's kind of hard because there was like so many choices, and I literally had to land on like Forza Horizon 4, because of the soundtracks, driving around, the customization, and just I was playing that game almost every day, even if I didn't do a race, just driving around, I was having fun. But like Rise of the Tomb Raider and Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Ori and Will of the Wisp and all of that, just like, man, this is so good on the system.
Yeah, I played. I think, man, it was so. I think the PS4 Xbox One generation was so. It was divisive for me, like in terms of which one I played more, essentially. But like, it wasn't because of the exclusives, right? Because like, I mean, I loved Gears 4, and Halo 5's story was bad, but it was fun to play, and like that kind of thing. But it wasn't about the exclusives. It was more about like, remember everybody, there was a time where there was no such thing as cross play and cross progression and cross whatever, right? Like you had to play where your friends were, which is so insane to think about. Like, and all of my friends were playing on PlayStation, the multiplayer stuff, which I actually preferred the Xbox controller for shooters, right? Because I mean, the staggered sticks just feels better for shooters. But I ultimately I think the Xbox user experience was much nicer. Like the store, ultimately the store was better. The kind of this current dashboard update that we have on Xbox, like started on Xbox One, which was much cleaner and nicer. I didn't really care for the cross media bar, right? It was simple, right? And I liked that, but there wasn't enough, like, I don't want to say it was too simple because I liked its simplicity. I just feel like there wasn't enough being displayed on it, if that makes sense. Like I could see like five or six games in like the PlayStation store, but then I have to go into this, to see the rest of my library. I have to go into this menu, which PlayStation is still like that, and obviously Xbox is like that to an extent now too, right? But like,
yeah,
I don't know. I just felt like the Xbox experience was cleaner and nicer and less. I don't know.
complicated.
I don't even want to say complicated. I just liked it better.
Easier to navigate for games.
And maybe that's just because I use the Xbox more now, right? Especially because like I think the PlayStation 5 user interface sucks. Like I think it's terrible. I can't stand the PlayStation 5 user interface. But also that could just be because I play a lot more Xbox than PlayStation, right? Maybe that's the reason. So I don't know. Plus for 2 years, like my entire gaming life revolved around Destiny. So what do I know?
That was weird for me. I had to go. So I went Destiny. I had the PS3 version, the PS4 version, the Xbox One version. I ended up getting because I started doing all the DLC stuff on Xbox, and then when 2 came out, because I didn't like the DualShock controller, with Destiny 2, and switched Destiny 2 to go for my Xbox. I'm just like, oh, with this, it just felt so comfortable to play on it. I just did everything else on like Xbox for Destiny.
Man, what a what a I feel like, man, and I know this is just because I really love Destiny, but I really wonder how much like Destiny, like, because a lot of people were excited for Destiny, right? Everybody was excited for Destiny, and even PlayStation only players were like, we're getting a game made by the people who made Halo, and Halo was awesome, right? And so people were excited, and I wonder how many people bought PlayStation 4s over Xboxes based on the exclusivity of the Destiny stuff mixed with the poor reception of the introduction of Xbox One. You know, like, I really wonder.
I don't think it was many, because
I mean, all of my friends switched from Xbox to PlayStation because of Destiny. And at the time I had like a lot of friends that I played games with. Like at that time I did. I don't so much anymore now, but
are you speaking of when the announcement came out for the exclusive DLC stuff? Okay, because the only reason I said
because like I don't think my friends really cared that Xbox came with a Kinect and whatever, right? I mean,
yeah,
but like that exclusivity deal, that was a big deal for games like Destiny, and like even Call of Duty switched their exclusivities stuff to PlayStation, which was a big deal in my friend circle. That stuff adds up, and
this is more of PlayStation 4 than just
that's what I'm saying.
PlayStation in general.
Yeah.
I think the reason I said not really was because when Bare Bones Destiny came out, it got mid reviews.
Right. But there was also like the people who stuck with it. Obviously the raid came out, right? But like also there were 2 exclusive exotic weapons, which ended up being like some of the most amazing weapons in the game at the time that Xbox players just couldn't use. I remember people who were playing Destiny on Xbox One.
Yes.
Like, and they were like hardcore Destiny players. A couple of my friends traded in their Xbox Ones for PlayStation 4s just so they could restart their Destiny experience to go get those weapons,
extra guns.
Like, not only were they losing sales, people were getting rid of their Xbox Ones for them. Like, and I know this is a very like small sample size of what people really cared about, right? But like, I mean, we talk about it all the time. Like Xbox, that was the generation Xbox lost for so many reasons, right? A lack of exclusives, the quality of the exclusives, the announcement fiasco, the TV stuff, the people didn't want Kinect packed in the box, like all that mixed with PlayStation's making deals. PlayStation's $100 cheaper. PlayStation has Destiny exclusives. PlayStation has Killzone at launch. They have Infamous coming. Like Xbox didn't have any of that. Titanfall was awesome. I played Titanfall on Xbox 360 and had a great time. I don't know if people remember, but Bluepoint ported that game down to Xbox 360.
Was Call of Duty, was the Switch big on Xbox or 360 Call of Duty was big? Did it switch big on PS4? And then it balanced out when later on with the games.
I would argue it still never really balanced out until Microsoft bought them. Call of Duty was huge. Call of Duty's exclusivity stuff lasted on PlayStation until Microsoft bought them.
Okay.
And they still had years left on their contract that Microsoft said they would honor, right? So, and they did. They honored that last year and change for exclusive stuff.
Which I think that was why the retaliation was PlayStation buying Bungie. Because
I don't know if that was retaliation. I think they wanted a game as a service. Well, no, maybe you're right, because like Jim Ryan was really worried about losing Call of Duty, right? Because it came out that I like how we were talking about magazines and now we're talking about this. I don't know if you saw the financial stuff from PlayStation. I don't know if it was leaked or really revealed, but like 53% of PlayStation's profits come from 10 games. 10 games. One of them is Call of Duty.
With
It's
the
their
DLC stuff.
it's their third it's the what, fourth game on that list of 10 that makes them the most money, because the first 3 are Grand Theft Auto, Fortnite, and maybe Roblox. It's either Roblox or Minecraft. They're both on that list. So, but yeah, man, it's like, what are you doing? You know, like, and so like, yeah, buying Bungie probably seemed like a good idea, because investing in games as a service, regardless of what you want to say, is a smart idea.
Right.
Their idea was great. Their execution has been poor so far. And obviously Bungie, like, you know, as great as Destiny is, like, the burn rate at Bungie was super high. You know, Marathon was very, you know, because I mean, the burn rate to run a studio like that runs a live service game,
yeah,
let alone working on another one, dude, it's so high. It is so high. And like, they bought them at the time where Lightfall's in, like, the money made from Lightfall was like 41% lower than it was for Witch Queen or something ridiculous like that. Like, that drop in profit margin and income would close most studios. 41% of your income just gone.
That's half. That's just,
you know what I mean?
Half, close to half.
And after that came like that first round of layoffs, right? Like that, I think Bungie went through 3 rounds of layoffs,
which is why, the purchase even of ZeniMax, and that's why I asked this question to the Fine Time crew, and I think I told you, Corey, was just like, why did these purchases of ZeniMax and Bungie didn't pan out well for Microsoft and Sony? You know, of course, Insomniac is going to pan out because most of their library was just for PlayStation. You know, this Activision stuff was going to work with Microsoft because, you know, at a point in time, Activision had a good relationship with Microsoft. You know, and if, you know, when money talks, it's going to talk. You know, and like, everybody thought that Microsoft probably thought that the ZeniMax purchase was going to work out, and then just look at all the layoffs and closures that they have for those studios. You know, same with Bungie. You know, look at them losing all of those people and stuff. You know, we still haven't even seen what's her name, Jade's game.
Well, she's gone
from
now,
her studio.
So, I mean,
she is.
Yeah, dude. She like left the studio like 2 months ago.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, because they did the play tests on that game and it apparently wasn't good. So, you know, they have what PlayStation in terms of live service games have. For some reason, they still consider Helldivers one. I don't really understand why. I mean, I guess does Helldivers have battle passes? I don't even know at this point.
No, it doesn't.
But you know, they have Helldivers, they have Destiny, which, you know, we just talked about how great it was on PoW Block and how great it was on Tower Casuals, but Destiny has lost, you know, I think the player count for this expansion is 1/3 less than the final shape, which was already half of what it was for Lightfall. So Destiny's player numbers are pretty down at the moment, but you know, that the scale of that game is different now. So like, maybe it's sustainable at this size. Plus, the studio is like, 40% of the size it was when.
Because I wonder if Destiny continues to lose players, like what is Bungie going to do?
I mean, they got to hope Marathon is good, right? I mean, they've poured so much money into it already. Obviously they delayed it because of the art theft, stuff. But, I don't know how much that game is really going to change. I think they did come out and say they're going to add, more because there were a lot of complaints about the alpha, especially for solo players and PvE style mechanics, like not necessarily a campaign, but more of a, I want to play this game by myself, but there's not really a way for me to do that. So how do I do that? And so they're adjusting that a little bit. They're also adding proximity chat in the game too. So
I feel like Bungie is stuck. Just
yeah, I feel like they're stuck because they don't have good leadership, right? I mean, like they've had good leadership in the past, right? Joe Blackburn, oh my gosh, what's his name? Luke Smith, all these guys that were running Destiny are gone. They all are either left or got,
because Luke Smith left when that mass layoff happened.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the Destiny leadership left either right before that or during that.
Because wasn't that because it was the layoffs, and then that story of one of the CEOs or something buying all of those cars.
Yeah, Pete Parsons. Yeah,
and people got mad at him, and they thought people was connecting, just like, why are you laying off all of these people, but then buying all of these big expensive cars?
Right. And like, I get the optics of that it looks bad, but that's not how money works.
Yes.
I'm not defending or saying he should be spending, $3 or $4 million on cars when his team, like when he has to lay off his entire team, essentially, like half of it. But that's not how money works. If he used that money right to save jobs, quote unquote, that would save everybody for like 3 months. The size of that studio and the amount of people they had to lay off, that was not, that money he spent on those cars would not have saved the studio. But again, I understand that looks really bad, that you're buying cars when your studio is being laid off and you're taking pictures and offering employees to come see them while they're being laid off. That's
right.
It's similar. It's similar to it's not the exact same things, but it's the same feeling of like when Randy Pitchford tweeted out, if you're a fan, you'll find $80 to play Borderlands 4, right?
And then it came out that it's only going to be $60.
And then, but it was the way he handled it, right? Right. It's that same gross feeling. And I have friends who worked at Bungie that got laid off, like in all of the rounds of the layoffs, like I used to know probably 20, 25 people that worked there. Now I know, I don't know, maybe 2. Not that they're not we're like best friends or anything, but like, we've been doing this long enough to where we know people at studios, right? So like of various degrees. So it's just, man, it really sucks, and you don't like, it puts players who are really loyal to the developers in a hard place, especially, of a team the size of Bungie, who has had a loyal fan base since really the original Marathon, right? Like, and obviously it grew a lot with Halo, and the Xbox community still rallies around them, right? And the Destiny community is always, vocal about things. It's really hard to support a game when leadership is like that, because you don't want to support the leadership and the bad decision making, but you also don't want people to lose their jobs.
So you're forced to have no choice but to support.
Yeah.
Um, uh, uh, or you find another game to play, and hopefully that gets popular and stuff.
Hmm.
And so,
Yeah. So that's I don't know. And I do feel bad for the marathon team and that whole art debacle because it's, that art that was stolen from someone who doesn't work at the studio anymore. And the yes, I know the current art director has followed the person for a long time, right?
mm,
And that art like looks identical to this person's portfolio. Also, for people who are art people out there, know that that style of art is not unique to that person, but they
mm,
literally lifted the art theft problem is not that it looks like her art, it is her art, like literal copy paste assets. Like you can see logos and designs and stuff that she made that were just plastered into the game. Um, and so like I feel bad for the team, right? I feel
mm,
bad for everything that studio has kind of gone through over the last 2 years because I mean I really love. It's no secret that I love Destiny and I love Bungie games, and I was looking forward to Marathon, even though I'm not like a huge like a huge multiplayer person anymore. Like I was really interested to see how that game turned out, and it's really hard to like, man, even if they change the entire way that game looks, like that story is going to be attached to that game forever in a genre that's not popular with uh it was what was the other big complaint about that game during the alpha? uh
the first Destiny.
no, the marathon.
Oh,
um
marathon.
there it's just there's so many negatives surrounding it at this point now, and it's like, plus like on top of that, like Sony absorbed part of Bungie's developers into that new team that's formed from Jason Blundell's defunct team. What was that? Deviation Games, right? Like he's running their new studio. I think it's Dark something, Dark Vanguard Games or something. I don't remember what it's
Mm-hmm.
called. Somebody will leave it in the comments, but he's like running that new studio now and taking on that other Bungie project, the Project Gummy Bears, which was, supposed to be a Destiny spinoff at some point. And now it's not a Destiny game. It's just a shooter now, which might be a hero shooter. We don't know yet. There's just a lot, man. It's just, but this all goes back to like, okay, Bungie was mismanaged. The way Sony, this all comes back around to the games as a service thing, right? Like, PlayStation leadership clearly mismanaged the what was that? Something just there was a sound over here that I didn't really care for. Um Sony really mismanaged their live service initiative, right? Thinking Concord was going to be this next big thing, and it obviously obviously it is what it is. And they said that was the best of their live service things, like that they incubated. And
Mm-hmm.
so now you're left with Fair Games, which, who knows how that's going to do. Helldivers 2, which was much bigger than you thought it was, to the point where,
Right.
like, it ended up kind of fumbling the ball because they didn't have the resources to manage a game that big because they weren't expecting it to be that big. And
Definitely when
then,
you add PC to it.
yeah, and then you have Bungie, who's doing, trying to keep one live service game afloat while they work on try to really fix another one. Um, and then you're canceling things like The Last of Us Factions, which a lot of people really enjoyed in that playtest. They canceled that. Bluepoint was working on a God of War multiplayer game that they canceled. Uh, Tony Bend was working on a live service concept that was canceled. So like, I know they said they had extra money to work on these live service games, but you're using internal resources. So now, like, Ben's next game, like if they started a year ago, it's not coming out until like 2029, 2030 on PS6, right?
Mm-hmm.
Blue Point is a studio that is masterful at remakes, was not making a remake. So when's their next remake coming out?
Right.
You close 2 studios that you purchased because their live service games were not great or failing or whatever. You invest heavily in VR and you close the VR studio because VR didn't sell. You're just lucky that
that
I
talk
think
went away real quick.
PlayStation is just lucky that they're the platform leader essentially in the these in the HD twins is what we used to call
But
them, right? But like
I think that's why PlayStation and Xbox is falling on, like they're using their past success to believe that their future is going to be guaranteed to, guarantee more success, but it hasn't
right.
happened. Like you
Well,
look
like
at 360.
go ahead, sorry.
Oh, you look at 360, and then when Xbox One came out, they were betting on the success of 360 to be continual to Xbox One with Sony with PS4. PS4 was successful, and they're hoping that was happening with PS5, and it's just not happening.
Right.
People, regardless of you look at GameCube, Wii U from Nintendo, you have the Nintendo Switch, who became successful, who learned from all 3 of those past systems and integrated into this system, that kind of changed the gaming for everyone and just the whole industry. And now, and at a point, and probably still, the Nintendo Switch was the leading system out of PS4 and Xbox from console space.
Right. But I think that the reason for that is like something that we've always said is like probably 95% of gamers, Nintendo's console is the second console in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And it accompanies your Xbox or your PlayStation, which makes them the first place system. But going back to what you were saying about Xbox, they've obviously pivoted real hard into this almost PC-esque space, right? They're transitioning there, which they are. I really feel like they are trying to keep the Xbox brand not relevant but alive at this point, and like trying to find ways to just make that brand relevant, because obviously the boxes aren't selling. I don't know if you've heard, but like the rumor is that the factories that make Xbox Series consoles they're not making them anymore, because they can't sell the stock that they have, so they just stop making the consoles.
Understandable.
And like the reason why the price went up isn't because of tariffs, but they're just trying to make every penny they can off of these boxes before they move on to the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
Which, sure, fine. I would, if I had the money, I would totally buy another Xbox Series X and keep it by my desk to record from, so I wouldn't have to keep moving it. But it's just really wild, man, the way that these things are happening. And PlayStation is lucky that they make so much money by being the platform leader, right? With what, 75, 80 million units out there, more maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think they just passed 80 million. And the Pro costs $700, right? They're making hand over fist money on accessories, microtransactions, to the point where they can take their time on games like Ghosts of Yotei and this Wolverine game that just never seems to want to come out. And as far as I'm concerned, the PlayStation 5 generation in terms of first party exclusives was a waste. Your 3 biggest games on the platform are PS4 games that were either patched or remastered. Horizon, God of War, and The Last of Us Part 2, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Ratchet, sure, right? I still feel Ratchet and Clank could have run on a PS4 based on the PC specs. Dark Soul or Demon Souls, I think, is the only like, and Returnal, I guess, are really the only two true PS5 exclusives that are like, okay, cool. That, but like, even Spider-Man, right? Like, the only reason why that wasn't on PS4 is because they need to sell PS5s. It wasn't because it couldn't run. It was literally the same game.
They didn't.
Sure, it was shinier and the ray tracing stuff was cool and graphically it was better, but like not enough to tell that like it couldn't run on PS4.
I don't even think PlayStation 5 had a leading game on their console when it first released.
Demon Souls was the launch game.
Demon Souls, okay.
And then Demon Souls and Miles Morales was pitched as the PS5 game, but it was also on PS4, right? So,
which is
still arguably the best game on this.
Yeah, because like it's just amazing to see all of this going down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think reason why I think the reason why PlayStation 5 and even Series X is not going to have a memorable generation everybody is going to be talking about, I think it's because of Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
has been the system, just with the Switch alone, that has carried the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So when good things happens between Microsoft and Nintendo, there could be conversations about that. With Nintendo, Sony, with some of their games coming to Switch, and with MLB, the show coming to Switch, like I think that would be the remembrance on Sony's side.
But also remember, Sony was going to keep MLB the show exclusive until MLB wouldn't give them the license anymore, and MLB publishes the game on Switch and Xbox.
And I because that was why I was wondering when I asked my friend. Then we're going to wrap up for this one. We're going to do a part 2 about the magazines. I think with the MLB the show, like I know it came out, but it was just like it was a come and go, and I know it did sell numbers, but it I don't think MLB the show will probably MLB the show equal like the next Madden. Like they would come out and just no talk. So you would think they'd be like, okay, both of these sports games came out. Why is nobody really talking about them? Where's the hype? Where's the past love for these games not present in a sense?
Yeah.
Where these games were considered as big deals in a sports gaming arena,
I think sports games are still huge. College football was the best-selling game last year, right? College football 25 was the best-selling game of it outsold Call of Duty, right? Which is only the third time in the last 20 years Call of Duty's been outsold, and the other two times were Grand Theft Auto releases, right? So that tells you everything you need to know, I think. So
why, I wonder why it was silent, why those numbers are silent.
Because I think the way that sports games have gone, right? Like it's just the sports games, the people who play sports games now, like for the most part, that's all they play, It's like people who play Roblox or Minecraft or Fortnite. Like that's a majority of gamers. That's all they play. And so, MLB is the same way. And those games are so deep now, right? That like, I think people are just tired of complaining about how the same Madden feels. I think people are kind of the quality of I guess EA Football Club now, like it's reached a peak to where like what else can you do with it? I think people are tired of complaining about, and that's the same with the NBA 2K, right? And I think that's why these college games are coming back, because they need to revitalize the sports genre in a way that makes sense, right? And so adding college football and college basketball games, right? Because I think EA and 2K both announced they were going to do college basketball games. Those make sense because they already have, well, 2K at least already has engines for basketball. They just have to like put the college players in instead of NBA players. Plus they can kind of connect it and do the whole thing that was really popular on PS2, the PS2 era, where you would play NCAA for a month and a half until Madden came out, and then you would use your draft classes from NCAA and import them into Madden, and you would use those players in Madden, which was what I was obsessed with for a long time. But I think these games are stagnant. It's the same thing with Forza, right? Like that's like the best comparison to me is like, and I'm not talking about the latest one. I'm talking about the numbered ones until this one, right? Where like the reason why nobody is talking about them is because they have reached their peak of perfection or their peak of quality or lack thereof, and people are just tired of talking about the same things over and over, so nobody talks about them. And I mean, that's the thing with NBA 2K is like the quality is so high with that game. Every year the quality is so high. People are tired of talking about how much it costs to play those games because of the microtransactions. So like, you know what I mean? So that's, I don't know. I know we've been going for an hour and a half, and it's like almost 2:00 in the morning, but, I just, there's a lot to say about a lot of things, I think.
Yeah.
So, we just need a second to record this crap.
Yeah. We're going to do a part 2. We're going to do a part 2 for the magazines. Cause I want to, check out more editorials and then definitely do the review reads, review, maybe, talk about the reviews of certain games and stuff. But that's going to be for part 2, everybody. With that, everyone, have a great week. Have a great weekend. And we'll see you next time on on Expansion Pass. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye. If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Sana Dirrig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, Retrostoy, and Christian S. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.